Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin.
And we're back again with Captain Redbeard.
Hello!
Actually, if you're watching this now, you'll see it in reverse. We're here with Captain
We're here for the first
For
time.
the very first time. Good.
I'm glad you could make it out.
Thanks, guys.
Talk
Just
about
now.
some interesting insight. I figured you could bring some interesting insight into gaming and everything, because you're as much of a nerd about it as we are.
That's right. I'll try.
Yeah. So
what do you think about a virus named Tom?
I think it's cool that they're still supporting Vita games. I think one of the coolest things about PlayStation Plus is, like, I have a Vita still, and I have a 32 gig memory card, which are not cheap.
Yeah.
Because Sony and the proprietary memory is the worst thing that Sony's done.
Why couldn't I just get an SD card?
Yeah. Anyways. But I think it's like that's one of the best parts about having a Vita is it's all the free games.
Yeah.
Because I've played more free games because of it.
Well, the game that I have played, I've spent more time playing Binding of Isaac than I have all the other games on my Vita combined.
Yeah.
I'm 3 items away from the platinum on that.
Yeah.
I want it so bad. but that originally came out for free.
Yeah.
And like I know Zombie.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of any of the rest of these.
I've heard of I Am Alive. I've played I Am Alive.
Well, you got it last month.
We had some interesting insight in that. So last month we talked about this. I Am Alive showed up on the PlayStation Plus free games, and it was available to buy for a week. It was available to buy.
And they had announced Super Stardust HD, which ended up being the right one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took them a couple of days to switch it out.
Yep.
And so if you were paying attention,
I had both of them available.
Yeah.
I actually downloaded all 7.
Yeah.
Like the day of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, because Super Stardust HD wasn't on there.
Really?
Yeah.
I could have sworn I downloaded the day of.
Well, you might have already bought it at some point. It seems unlikely.
Yeah. So we already have our review of I'm Alive. We'll talk more about it later.
So
spoilers, I'm Alive. I guess we already spoiled it for the Gold Plus Roundup.
Yeah.
It's The Last of Us for like Last of Us Light.
You said the poor man's Last of Us, but with more limited resources.
A lot more.
And I like that because like that's what was fun about Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Was like the
if that's what you call fun.
Well,
I'm playing Evil Within right now, and it's not so much fun.
Yeah. Well,
it's part of the game.
Like you kill a bad guy, and he gives you 1 bullet.
Yeah.
1 bullet, and that's like the only bullet that you have. Like, and then the 2 guys will come at you. It's kind of, I guess, similar to the kind of like Dark Souls games where one enemy can just knife you and you're just dead.
Yeah.
So when 2 people come at you, it's like, okay, how do I do this? Okay, I'll shoot this guy and then I'll stab, or I'll go up and I'll pretend I'm surrendering, and then knife one guy and shoot the other guy really quick. But it's the resource management in that is really it's a big part of it.
Okay.
Like the original Resident Evil kind of stuff.
And challenging.
Yeah, and challenging.
So the other PS3 game is Savage Moon. Haven't heard of that one, but we'll be checking that out.
Try it out.
The 2 Vita ones are going to be A Virus Named Tom and Shutshimi, which Shutshimi, I think you're a fish.
Yeah.
And it's like a Gradius style bullet hell shooter. And
it's on the Vita.
It's on the Vita.
It's on the Vita. Yeah. So and then Dead Star for PS4,
Correct.
and then Zombie, which was originally Zombie U.
Yeah.
And so
I'm really glad Zombie's on here because I really liked that game on Wii U, and I'm really glad that it's coming somewhere else.
I'm really intrigued that it's going to be free because I remember when Sony announced it and a bunch of people kind of were scratching their head.
Yeah.
Where it was like the Wii U game? Like okay. I mean it's it makes sense because it's published by Ubisoft, right?
Yes.
It's a Ubisoft game, and so I don't think Ubisoft wants to give up on their franchises that they do believe in. Yeah. I mean even games that don't get like stellar reviews, they still kind of like they still nurture those franchises.
Sometimes they'll do stuff like this. Like right now, or last month, 2 months ago, we got Gears of War 2, and I had never played a Gears of War game. I'm on board.
Yeah.
I want to play that because Gears 2 was awesome, and maybe if Ubisoft is looking to make Zombie a thing, then this will be like, hey, more people know about this as more than, like you said. Yeah. Isn't that Wii U game?
Yeah.
Like that is the limit of my, like, I know that you had like the gamepad was your inventory and you had to hold. I don't know anything about it, but
the only thing I really know about
free.
the only thing I know about it is like if you die, you started like that character's dead, and you start as another character.
So
I'm in.
it's cool stuff.
And it's free, so you really can't complain about the price point.
I think if the Wii U had done better, I don't think this would have gone multi-plat. I think that if the Wii U was selling as well as PS4 and Xbox One, that it would just stayed there.
Well, sure. As I understand it, like a lot of the gameplay mechanics are kind of designed around the second screen, and
they are.
And so I'm curious to see like how that comes over, because my PS4 controller doesn't have a second screen down there.
It's got a touchpad. It's got a touchpad that easily brings up the secondary menu. So
that's true.
Will they give us an app?
I don't think they will.
I don't think they would support it for a free game.
Yeah.
With a secondary screen, that makes. Okay. I mean, like
the development on that.
I mean, if anything, if there was like you could maybe bring up the PlayStation app and there was some kind of functionality there, I could see that. But I think it's just as easy as like, looking down on the Wii U gamepad and having everything there for you.
Yeah.
It was really one of the biggest appeals of the Wii U, and I think the biggest problem is that Nintendo did a very poor job of explaining that, where they should have just been like, it's like a 3DS for your living room.
Yeah.
You have two screens, that's what it is. Where the bottom screen is a touchpad, where you can do things and whatever. Yeah. For games that have inventory or they have menus that you have to maps that you have to pause the action where you don't have to, that makes a lot of sense. But the difference of being able to touch the touchpad on the PS4 and it pulls up the menu is as simple as almost looking down. Yeah. And then there's the menu where the game is still happening.
The thing, though, is in Zombie U, the game didn't pause while you were looking at your inventory. Yeah. So you have that added tension.
Yeah.
Demon Souls on the PS3, even if you went back to the PlayStation menus, the game never paused.
Bloodborne doesn't either.
So next up we have Killer Instinct Season 3, which is out now.
Yes.
Like they had released some of the characters, told us who was going to be in it and stuff, but that is up and out and available. Mm-hmm. Coolest thing for me is it got single player content.
Yes.
So more than just adding characters, they're actually giving us kind of a story thing, and that was. Like the fighting itself, because the fighting itself is not that great. But I like Jago.
Yeah,
I want to see what happens to Jago.
It may be the most tame fighter that I've played. I didn't play Reality Fighters last month though, so that was
good for you.
So you did.
I did, and I beat that.
You could button mash so easily in Killer Instinct, and I just didn't see any point. Like
that's why I like the original Killer Instinct, because the original was kind of similar.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. So
until you got to Idol, and that dude just kicked your butt 6 ways.
Because you were used to button smashing. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Continuing on Xbox. Halo Wars, Soul Calibur 2, Left 4 Dead 2, and King of Fighters 98 got added to the backwards compatible list, as well as the games with gold.
Yes.
Also, because
Dead Space and Saints Row 3.
Yes.
Which is weird because they remastered Saints Row 3 and it's printed on disc for the Xbox One.
Saints Row 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it's Saints Row 3 that's backwards compatible. Saints Row the Third.
No,
it is Saints Row 4.
It's not the third.
which got re-released as the presidential edition or something.
Yeah.
But
they're doing the backwards compatible version too, which is weird to me.
I'm still waiting for Red Dead.
Actually, this isn't on here. Did we already say that the Dark Souls showed up?
Yeah.
So
Xbox is having issues where if you're trying to buy backwards compatible games, it gives you an error saying you can't do this time, because they just added it on the Xbox One. On the Xbox One store, you can look at Xbox 360 games, and if they're backwards compatible, you should be able to buy them. But it's giving you an error, giving people errers.
Still, because like they were
as of yesterday.
Okay, so we said last week that they would fix it, and maybe they won't.
They didn't.
We don't know.
We're not Microsoft. We have no idea.
We don't know. I'm excited about Halo Wars. Left 4 Dead 2 is pretty good too. I like the first one better, but
I just don't know. I just don't know how multiplayer is going to work, because I tried Halo Reach with the wife on the backwards compatibility, and it was more than laggy.
Really?
So it's the support with it's a really cool feature.
Yes.
I mean, it's basically an emulator on the Xbox One, but it was so laggy it was almost impossible.
I had frame rate drops in Dark Souls.
Well,
that's the game you do not want to have that happen.
But that's always been the case in Blighttown. That was a huge.
It was going across the bridge with the dragon.
Yeah, you can't lag there.
Yeah, it lags.
Yeah,
it lags.
That's not going to work.
Again, I think it's just the technology isn't to where it needs to be. And I mean, you were saying you were waiting for Red Dead because they accidentally threw it up there.
It happened. Yeah.
I have a theory.
Yeah.
If you guys would like me to hear it,
please,
of the backwards compatibility, I think I think what Microsoft does is they use the backwards compatibility to leverage new games.
Oh, I completely agree.
So until Red Dead 2 is announced, which I'm fairly sure is going to happen.
Well, Take Two has said that they're going to be a big deal there, and with Activision EA setting out, like the floor is theirs, and they can because Take Two is. I love the way that they release stuff, because like when GTA 5 was coming out, the first thing we got was a screenshot.
Yes.
And we all just poured over and like zoomed in and tried to figure it out. And I like the way it's kind of like Bethesda last year with Fallout 4. Like they were like,
they
hey,
announced
it's
it
coming
3 months later,
and then
it was out the same year. So, but again, with that, like I feel they're holding on to backwards compatibility to Red Dead Redemption to have it as an added built-in perk for Xbox One, Red Dead Redemption 2.
So that not only can you get excited, but give us money.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean it adds an added benefit to buying that game on their console. So look at Fallout 4. It came with a copy of Fallout 3,
which is why you got it.
When Quantum Break comes out on Tuesday, or it comes out this week, you get a copy of Alan Wake. Like, well, if that's available.
Actually, they just changed that.
Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, that's one of the things we were going to talk about today.
It's down in the news. So we'll
stick with us, and you'll hear.
Okay, there you go. I'm going to, because I have no idea.
And also, you're between us, so you can't leave.
I can't go anywhere. but I do feel they hold on to a lot of that stuff, because I mean, they just have this, when they first rolled out the backwards compatibility, everyone was like, okay, cool, all my Xbox games work. No. A very minimal amount. Most of the ones on the library of ones that are backwards compatible are just digital releases.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not your physical games. So if you're a collector, what it is like if you happen to buy these random indie games on your Xbox 360, you can now play them on your one.
Every now and then you get ones the one that you really wanted.
I mean, Assassin's Creed 1 and Assassin's Creed 2 are now backwards compatible. Yes. So I went back and I ended up rebuying the entire franchise because I ended up selling them through the years, but I'm such an Assassin's Creed fan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to play 1 and 2 again, sure. Yeah. So I went back and bought those again. But I don't see how it's, again, I'm not super tech savvy, but I don't see how it's that hard to make these games backwards compatible if you just run it through an emulator and then it makes it available.
Yeah. But they also have to go through the legal side of it.
Sure.
Because like a lot of the stuff that was in that first 100 games that came out, a lot of that was Microsoft published.
Yes.
Whether it was an indie game or not, they were the publisher, and so that was a little bit simpler for them.
Well, sure, but that also leads to the question, like, how come Halo 3 is not on it? How come Halo 3
because
it's on
they
the
had the
Master Chief Collection?
Right. Yeah. They wanted money.
Yeah, but they could easily be there. But.
Yep.
How do you feel about Turok 1 and 2?
I'm a big Turok fan. I love the Turok games back on the PS2. There was one on the 360. And I read the comics.
Yeah.
Anything with dinosaurs in it.
Yeah. I didn't know there's Turok comics.
They started as comics in the 70s, 80s.
I think it's 70s.
Yeah.
Late 70s. Yeah.
That's where it came from.
I'll read that.
Yeah.
I have the first 10 issues.
Oh, fantastic.
The original ones. Yeah.
So Turok 1 is coming to Mac, and then 1 and 2 are coming to Xbox One remastered. So that's exciting, and I might check those out.
I'm gonna play it. I always have a weird love and hate relationship with games where you kill dinosaurs because I'm such a dinosaur fanatic. I don't know if I want to be put in a world where you just kill them, but I think a setting like Far Cry Primal would be amazing. I'm really hoping Far Cry Primal comes out with some Valley of the Dinosaurs where you can kill them because they attack you. They're wild animals, sure, but you can also tame them,
throw meat, and
then you can tame them, and then you can ride them.
That would be great.
Can you imagine
ride a T-Rex?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Life goals.
Yes.
Moving over to Nintendo. Nintendo is getting a web shop. We're still waiting to see if, during this rollout, we still don't know if they're going to do it right. If this is going to be the web shop that allows us to connect our Nintendo account and buy games and actually have them where we can put them on different platforms, we'll see.
Yeah. I'm hoping, like you said, it'll be a better ecosystem because the 3DS shop and buying a game for your 3DS and it basically being locked to this one 3DS.
Yeah.
If you buy it digitally and then unless you have a way to unless you transfer it and it's a long, tedious process, it should be like I own 3 3DSs. Let me just play it on any of my 3DSs. They're all registered to the account.
Kind of like PlayStation and Microsoft have been doing since 2005.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so this comes out March 31st.
Yeah.
So it should be out because we're recording now and it's April. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
so,
live now.
So my Nintendo is up.
Yes.
And you can link your Miitomo, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Your
Miitomo.
And
but
that does actually like really encourage me because some of the rewards that you can get are either of you on Miitomo?
Yep.
Not
Okay.
yet.
And I'm on my Nintendo too, so yeah.
But some of the rewards that you can get are digital games,
Yeah.
and those are connected to your Nintendo account.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is when everything starts getting fixed.
I hope this is all a setup. All the
Well, when you're dealing with Nintendo, everything's a setup.
well, I hope what they're doing is strategically setting up the NX launch.
Yeah.
Which we predicted on the show earlier. I don't know what your thoughts on it are, but I predicted on the show this October.
I think I had
November.
Yeah, I've got it.
I would say October. Both of those dates are really solid, but yeah, I definitely think. I mean, basically, my Nintendo is essentially going to be like, it's your Nintendo account.
Exactly.
Like if you've already created one and you have a login, you can log into my Nintendo or Miitomo with it, and that just solidifies like, okay, cool. This is now your Nintendo account because
that's when I will start to buy the retro games because I wasn't willing to buy. Like I've still got Super NES cards running around, but like I wasn't willing to buy like Mario 3 or Mario World again, knowing that it was going to expire with whatever. But like
it was going to expire on that console
on that console generation. Yeah, but like you give me that, I'm gonna drop $100 and buy.
Everything.
If my digital games, it doesn't have to be day one, but if my digital purchases of like Mario 64 and Mario Golf, if those digital,
if you bought that on the DS Lite, you should be able to play it now. On whatever console you have,
3DS,
on whatever handheld. Yeah, I am a huge advocate of the 3DS. I love my 3DS. I love my console. I'm actually playing Pokemon Blue. This is my first Pokemon game I've ever played.
Okay.
I never played them before, and I get it.
Yeah.
I'm hooked, line and sinker, man. Like turn-based RPG where you collect your fighters. Oh no, I get it now. Like I didn't get it before. I'm like, man, there's too many characters.
And now,
but now I totally get it. And I, like the nostalgia of it being in black and white, I love. And what it does is it sets me up for so much more excitement for future ones. And I'll buy them all. I mean, and then now they have the SNES emulator now too, and this all seems to be corresponding with my Nintendo because you're right. When I had a 3DS XL and I bought the new 3DS, and even though that is like if you haven't done that, or if you have a 3DS XL and you haven't got a new Nintendo 3DS XL, it is a significant jump and it's worth having. I love my new Nintendo 3DS. It's basically having with Circle Path Pro, and there's a lot of extra games that you now have the ability to play that you couldn't really play, or they were really limited, or didn't play very well. Namely, like Resident Evil Revelations. That game is amazing on a 3DS. Metal Gear Solid 3 3D, you can move the camera angle. It's awesome. It's so great. But to move over my memory and my save files that were on my SD card, because the new 3DS has a micro SD card, and you actually have to unscrew the entire back of it off. There's not just an SD slot. You have to unscrew it, take it off. You have to to move your transfer files over before the My Nintendo, and hopefully the My Nintendo, and with the introduction of Miitomo, that should make it a lot easier, because what you would have to do before is pull out your SD card, put it on your computer, drag and drop the items you want to put on your new. You have to get a micro SD card with the adapter, put that into your computer, drag and drop them back over to that, take the micro SD, format the micro SD to work with your new 3DS XL, put the pack back on, and then reinstall it. I had my wife do it because I get so frustrated with computers. I'm so glad you guys have this. Oh, it's awful. Like I just break things when I'm around. Like that's why your phone probably went off earlier. Like we edited it out, but it was probably because I'm in the room. I have no doubt. Like I work in video games and I still technology. I'm not very savvy.
Rocket League's Dunk House.
Yeah, which we've been talking about.
Is coming this
month. They showed a little screenshot of it.
Okay, the screenshot makes me think that maybe I could actually do it.
You think?
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be like the basketball way the heck up here, but it's more like a lead up to, and you're just kind of tossing it into a toilet bowl.
Yeah.
There you go. And that's Rocket League toilet bowl. I bet they'd love that market.
Rocket League toilet bowl edition.
Yeah.
Oh, if they could, how you can change out the sounds for your engine and stuff like that. If you could change it out so the sound for the scoring is a toilet flushing, that'd be awesome.
That would be so great.
Yeah. Speaking of Rocket League, I got to call Psyonix out on this. Okay, in the trailer where they were doing the Batman special thing, which I bought immediately because I give them money every chance I get. Okay, so they had when you scored, instead of the regular explosion, it had a bat symbol, and it doesn't. I scored and I got no bat symbol. But
frustration.
But
You promised me bat symbols.
You promised me bat symbols. But the funny thing is if somebody demolishes you, your car explodes into money. And I thought that was
like that.
I
clever.
thought that was fun.
I haven't rolled that one
But
yet.
yeah, so I'll keep playing it, but I wanted my bat symbol.
Yeah, we always talk about support your developers. The ones that are giving you good content, keep supporting them. Keep supporting these guys.
Yeah.
It's really important. So, interesting news in a bit of this. We've been talking about VR. VR is like the thing this year. Oculus Rift, Vive, everything. The cheapest one being the PlayStation VR. And it sounds like PlayStation's kind of hedging it to be able to be played on PC as well.
Yeah, because the numbers of people who have PCs powerful enough to run Oculus and Vive, like that's a very limited field.
Yeah.
And so because PlayStation VR is less powerful, the system requirements are going to be lower, and so I feel like a lot of people are going to be willing to jump on this.
Because it's an affordable VR.
It is affordable, $399. I mean,
it's a console price, but we're used to paying that every couple of years.
well, I'm saving up for NX. I know it's going to drop this year, so I'm saving up for that. But so much that I've seen from the Sony VR, and I know you've actually got.
I've done it.
You've actually got your hands on it. So. It makes me feel like the other ones seem like Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. I can't really see myself playing the HTC, but the Oculus Rift, I can see myself doing that for PC games. But the price is so expensive. The Sony VR, it makes a little more sense to me. And if that can be played on PC and on Sony and for PlayStation, Sony's got it.
Yeah.
Sony's won.
Speaking of PlayStation VR, though, apparently Shuhei's going through Dark Souls 3 with the VR, and he's basically using it to create a giant screen, and that's how he's playing it. So, that sounds awesome.
If it works on PC, so you've got the USB port that the thing's going to have, obviously, right?
It plugs into both USB ports in the front, and that's how it works.
Because you need the kit for the other bit. Right. So it's going to take two USB. I don't know if it's 3.0. I'd assume it's 3.0, but it may be 2.0 for Sony, because I believe the 2.0, the PS4 has 2.0, if I'm not mistaken, for
it
the
does.
USB.
Yeah.
So
the Xbox One is 3.0.
Yeah. So in that case, you need two USB ports. That's not too bad. I was thinking some gamers, depending on how old your PC is, some of them may only have two USB 3.0 ports.
Yeah.
So if it's 2.0, chances are you've got probably four of those or so.
Yeah.
It would make sense that it would be, because you're looking at like a company who's obviously they're looking into even making it applicable for PC.
Yes.
They're going to try to make it where it works for the masses, because if they've already created the price point. And they sell a ton of them, because that's kind of what Sony does, and that's what they did when they rolled out the PS4 as well. They were making a very minimal amount of money, but they've outsold Xbox by so much that they're profitable there. And then of course they have all of their first party support for their software, and that's where they make their cash.
Yeah. So it's a smart move. If this happens, they're going to completely completely steamroll this the VR competition, because the Oculus Rift it may be better. But as long as the frame rate doesn't drop too low, then you're fine on VR. And Sony's already said, if your frame rate drops below 60, we're not certifying your game.
We're not certifying
your game. The other fun thing about it is PlayStation VR on the PS4 is going to be what Sony has approved. But like, my favorite thing about new tech is what the community does with it.
Definitely.
And I cannot wait to see what people are going to do with this. Yeah. And so being able to bring that over to the PC, plug it in, do your thing there, then you'll get to see more of what's happening in VR than just the Sony official certified whatever stuff. And that's what's the most exciting thing.
Because you have an affordable unit.
Yeah. Because if you're spending... we're not all Bruce Wayne here, right? If you're spending,
none of us are Bruce
if you
Wayne.
Have a couple,
you don't know that.
You don't know that.
Batman might be a beard man.
Could be. How do you?
No, because that's the.
I know, right?
No, that's the only thing.
I trimmed it actually. If you notice, it was much longer. Yeah.
No, but if they do that, it's going to be perfect. What I absolutely love about Sony hedging this is they're already ahead of the game when it comes to PS4. and if this works in their favor, which I think it will, because like I was saying, everyone's got a certain budget. Whatever your budget is, you have to justify, okay, if I'm going to spend X amount of dollars, am I going to spend, for instance, if NX comes out and the Sony VR are both coming out, okay, most people are going to choose one or the other, right?
Yeah.
Most people. Some people will budget towards it. I'm going to budget towards it because I'm a freaking geek. I'm going to budget
I'm going to get them both.
Yeah. I was more on the fence with Sony VR because I was saying, okay, well, I'm going to get the new console. Kevin's heard the story a ton of times. I missed out on the Super Nintendo. I had an NES, and then I got a Genesis, and I never got a Super Nintendo.
You chose poorly.
So then I got, after that it was, okay, PlayStation, and I was like, I'm never doing this again, so I got a PlayStation and then 64. And then, so ever since then, I've tried to get each console, because I don't want to miss out on something that's exclusive on one of the others. So in this case, I have them both, I've budgeted for both, but I'm not, for VR, it's like, okay, I can't justify buying a Vive, Oculus Rift, Sony VR. I don't even know if the technology is going to go with that. I've got a 3D TV I've only used twice for 3D purposes. Yeah. So, who knows? It may be a little collector's item in the long run, but it may be the next thing. We don't know yet.
I personally feel that you're very much right. I think Sony has a larger install base. If you take a look at it, and even if you don't have a PlayStation 4 and you want to get into VR, it's still cheaper for you to buy a PlayStation 4 and PlayStation VR than it is just to buy the Oculus.
Yeah. Well, someone was saying, it's not that cheap because it's $399, but you need a camera and you need the Move controllers. Well, a lot of them, the light sensor.
There's a $500 bundle though, so you can get the headset, the two Move controllers, the camera, and a game. And that's $499.
Is that coming out? Has that been announced?
Same day. Yeah.
Okay.
Like as a matter of fact,
they announced that for Japan. I didn't know they announced.
GameStop is taking pre-orders on it. As a matter of fact, we were only taking pre-orders on the $399 unit for 2 days, but we're still taking pre-orders on the $500 bundle.
Yeah. See, and I already have a PlayStation camera, so.
Well, I mean, ultimately though, at the end of the day, it might even be cheaper for you to just trade your camera in.
It might be.
And just get everything else, because if you for the game and the two Move controllers, and the headset, I mean, if that all ends up being
so the controllers are what, $40-$50?
I haven't seen them new in years.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to re-put them out because they came out for the PlayStation Move.
Well, they're having issues. I don't know if your store's having issues with it, but when the Sony VR stuff got announced and everything, they said, you need a PlayStation camera with it, and I think it was after some of the recent stuff, the sales went over, PlayStation camera went up a 900 and some change %.
Yeah.
So places are completely selling out of PlayStation cameras, and they weren't before.
You couldn't. They've had supply constraints on that for a while because it was set up to stream right away out of the box, and it was so simple.
Yeah.
Push this button, push two other buttons, and you're streaming.
That's what you do.
That's what I use it for.
That's what everyone uses it for.
That's the number one reason.
They just didn't see that coming. But for a long time, you couldn't find the camera anywhere.
You couldn't. When it first came out, they were pretty hard to get a hold of. But now, they're still not very hard. I mean, I think the Move controllers are going to be the ones that are difficult to find because, people haven't traded them in, and now people who still have them are
they're holding on to them. So now
they have a purpose again. Yeah.
Now would probably be the time to hit up your local GameStop or local stores, grab them used if you can. Speaking of VR, Oculus Rift game. So initially, everything we were seeing on that was you'd have to go through the store,
the Oculus store, and you buy the games only from there.
Yeah, but now you're going to be able to do it elsewhere. In the Oculus Rift, I always thought that it was basically going to be up to the developers, for Skyrim, because I was seeing, this thing's been in development so long, people are playing Skyrim and other games on it. So I always thought it was okay, well, if the developer has patched their game for it, then you're good to go. Yeah. So I don't know 100% if they're going that way, though.
I bet you can buy a bunch of stuff from Facebook. Because they own it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would imagine there's probably going to be a ton of links there. I don't know if they're going to put their stuff on Steam because Valve has their own VR. So you probably won't be seeing.
They specifically mentioned Steam.
Did they?
Yeah, that's really cool.
And that's
a mature business decision. That's what I'm saying. Steam is it when it comes to digital distribution.
Yeah,
it's Steam. I mean,
sure. They're the ones that figured it out, and I feel like Steam is the reason that we have the
momentum in PC gaming.
Well, that's it's not exactly the same, but the Xbox Store and the PlayStation Network kind of tried to model it after that.
Yeah.
And I really feel that if if they had not gotten it right, that we might still be a lot further back in the whole physical versus digital thing, because they, companies were like, yeah, but if we make our games digital, then piracy and stuff. But like, just being able to get your game out there, get it visible, get it seen, and make it easy for people to do, because I can spend $30-$40 without even really noticing it, because I'm just like click
it's a couple dollars
there it went
at a time.
And just the ease with which you can use that. And so and like we were talking about Microsoft a couple weeks ago being like, no, Quantum Break is only on the Windows Store, and it's like, but you need to take care of your people. And so I'm really happy that Oculus is moving in that direction. And they're saying, look, we want you to use our store. We want you way more to have a good experience with our product.
Exactly.
And so I applaud them for that.
Yeah.
Shadow of the Beast is launching May 17th.
Yes. Which I hadn't heard of this, so I took a look at it, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not.
So it's 2D side scroller, but the animations, like the kill animations, it goes into 3D as your kill. Like, it's really beautiful. It looks like what immediately when I saw it, the first thing that I thought was this is a next gen. This is current gen platformer, because a lot of 2D platformers, when you play them, they're like, okay, it's a little polished, but we've been doing this for the past 20 years, right? 25 years. We've been doing this forever, and it looks okay. It's a little more polished, a little more smooth. No, this is like when I played Abe's Odyssey on PlayStation 1. That's how I've had the same feeling watching this, because it was like, okay, it's a side scroller, but it's 3D. But it still has the 3 dimensions to it. You can, and when it goes into a kill animation, I hope this is still in there, because all I've seen is like the beta and alpha stuff. You go into like this kill animation, the screen like turns around, and you can see like a different angle,
and you just feel like a badass.
It looks beautiful, and I'm keeping this one on my radar. We talked about this before as well. Xbox One was moving towards having like basically every Xbox One is a dev kit.
They said that like when they were initially showing the Xbox One, they were like, they can all be a dev kit. So 3 years later,
it can be a dev kit. License is only $20. So
and that's
totally
a permanent thing. But like
not per game. It's just for you to.
It's to allow you to publish it, because you can make the games originally, but to actually get them out and for anybody else to play them is $19. That is an incredibly low cost of entry, and this. It's a lot similar to the UWP. Is they're enabling more people to make games.
Yes.
That's going to lead to shovelware.
It's going to lead to a lot of shovelware.
But there's also going to be people that are going to come out of this and be like, maybe I could make a thing, and we'll 10 years from now.
Now is the time of indie gaming, man.
It is. It is. Well, it gives more people a kind of a leg in. Like if you're trying to get a foot in the door in gaming, if you want to work for Gearbox, you want to work for Bethesda, even if it's your first job. And gaming, they're like, what have you done?
Yeah, and you can make something, and I made this for console.
Like, I made this. You can download it. You can play it.
That's
how you have to get
living resumes.
That's
on
how
Xbox Live.
That's how it is nowadays. Like, before this, it was PC. That was a lot of people were making PC games, and a lot of these what amounts to shovelware on Steam or whatever that no one ever played. That's something on some guy's resume, and that got him a job to do something better. So. Getting your foot in the door, while it's a lot of noise and trying to find something good out of it, it's a really great thing.
The one thing that I'm really hoping is, like, I'm all for people exploring their creativity and stuff. I'm hoping that the games developed in this way are in a separate section, just because I like the new Xbox One releases this week or this month or whatever.
180.
Yeah, that could be an entire list. So we'll see how that rolls out.
I hope so, because there's been a big thing on Steam. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's people who are buying, basically grabbing these free asset kits and like these making a game out of what essentially is a tutorial for Unity or for, I don't know if you've seen this. Like there's a company that's all they do is like whatever the engine is. They take the tutorial and they take some free assets and they slap it on and then they throw it out on Steam for 99 cents. And the same company's done like the same one with different skins like 4 times, and other people are doing the same thing. So you're making a buck here and there off of completely free stuff, and all you did was go through the tutorial on YouTube, and then you're done. And
Yeah,
I really
Okay,
hope that's not going to happen on Xbox.
Speaking of Steam and
Yeah.
games that came out last week, Watching Paint Dry
Is that a game?
is now available on Steam for 99 cents because somebody was like, okay, your approval and your vetting process is garbage.
Yes, it is.
I made a game which is Watching Paint Dry. Your two options are continue to watch paint dry and quit. Stop
It still
doing
has
this.
interaction. It's still a game.
It still has interaction and it technically fills all these boxes, but it was just somebody calling them out and being like, look, creativity is cool and everything, but you need a process to filter through this stuff. Otherwise, nobody's going to see it. Like, there were some really cool games that came out of the indie space on Wii.
Yeah.
Nobody played them because there was... Whenever you go into the digital store and you're not looking at the official... Then it was just this list of
There's
not good stuff.
Shovelware.
It's all shovelware.
And that's the problem with the mobile market. I don't download anything. I don't open that unless I already know what I'm going for because it's just a bunch of angry gladiator faces staring at me.
I will say though, because you mentioned Pokemon before, and I meant to mention this, talking about mobile game and Pokemon. If you haven't played the Rick and Morty game,
Pocket Mortys.
yes,
It's so good.
it's beautiful. It's
so
Pokemon with your Mortys.
Yep.
It's great.
I don't know about this, Rick.
Just shut up.
Yeah.
It's
Shut up,
great.
Morty.
It's all you got. Science. Yeah, it's beautiful. Which are they on season 2 of that yet? Because I watched
Season 2 is over.
It's over?
They're
Okay.
moving on to season 3. So season 2.
That's all I had on Netflix on Hulu was season 1.
Season 2, like, it's funny because you can go to Adult Swim and it has episodes. Right now it has episodes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, but not 1 and then 8 through like 13 because unless you log in using like an actual like cable account. Because everyone was telling me
nobody in this room has because you have View.
I'm a cable cutter. Yeah, I'm a cable cutter. Yeah. It was funny because
I have PlayStation View.
Yeah, Cliff Blazinski was telling me about it because I was like, dude, like Rick and Morty is so great. I got into it. I was like, I love season 1. I'd watched it like 8 times.
Yep.
I'm like, Tiff got me a Mr. Meeseeks plush doll for my birthday.
That's great.
It's a can do. And but yeah, like season 2, you can watch some of the episodes, but it comes out on Blu-ray in June.
Yeah.
Which sucks because like I want to buy it now. Like it should be sooner. Like the season's over, just put it out. I want it now.
Yeah.
Because
Put it out
like,
digitally.
Yeah, at least digitally, but it's not. Yeah, you can watch it streaming, but not on Hulu.
Gotcha. So I'll have to go through a browser.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on Hulu, I just finished season 1.
Like an old person. I have to go to the internet and not just an application that's automatically connected to the internet. What is this world?
I don't want to type in things. Speaking of things I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Permadeath and Survivor mode coming to Far Cry, which is cool because that they released that on Fallout, and we talked last week about games becoming too easy.
Yes.
But they're adding options for those of us who really like to be beaten down by our games for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't mind being beaten down. Otherwise, I wouldn't have played Dark Souls and Demon Souls and Bloodborne.
Right.
But being beaten down and then having to restart from the ground up, I'm not a fan of. For Diablo, the hardcore mode, didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no way.
Like
No,
I love Diablo. I played every Diablo.
Is not fun for me, but it's out there, and I appreciate that they're adding options.
It's a great challenge
for other people. Yeah,
it's a great challenge. The thing we're talking about where it's too easy was the Star Fox. I don't know if you saw Star Fox. For
it's going to have an
Wii U.
invincible mode.
Invincible mode,
where you just go through and you just shoot all the things and. That was like one of our very few arguments that we've ever had on this show.
Usually
so that was
pretty
fun.
much see eye to eye, but I think it's like you need to have some type of
Penalty.
Yeah, you have to some.
Well, I mean, I also think that it's a different kind of generation of kids because Star Fox hasn't come out with a game in over 10 years.
It's true.
And people are trained to play games differently now, and I think that's huge. And so to release a game to amass to a larger audience. Like, I mean, like, because most parents, like, again, this goes back to the argument that most of the people who buy video games are not the people who are playing the video games.
Yeah.
And so for parents who are getting a game, which can be kind of challenging, I mean, figuring out, like, some of these kids, this might be their first introduction into a shooter, period.
That's true.
Or I'm sorry, a flight sim. It's very similar to a flight sim. Like, having an invincible mode kind of makes sense for this generation of kids.
It might help. Well, Sam, you're talking about this.
But you don't have to play it. So I mean,
we grew up
like Survivor
playing,
mode, I'm not gonna play that crap.
But I
loved Far Cry Primal, but I would never play that. I died too much.
Have you finished it yet?
I finished it before the game came released.
Yeah.
I got an advanced copy, so it was. I 100%ed that one too, so it was good. Lots of fun little Easter eggs.
I love
like the Flintstones car. It was at the bottom of a lake. I don't know if you saw that. That's
That's
pretty
cool.
neat.
I love the Far Cry loop. Like you slowly amass more territory and stuff, and like so I've played all of them since 3, and I just Blood Dragon though. I want a sequel
Blood
to
Dragon
Blood
is-
Dragon.
They need a full release. Look at what I want. What I want from Primal is I want a Valley of the Dinosaurs DLC.
Yeah.
Like over the top, like Blood Dragon, where like
It's
you know
like-
they did it in Ice Age. They can do it. Like
Yeah.
you find like a valley or a separate part of the world
Yeah.
that's been like cordoned off for millions of years.
Yeah.
You know, because people think prehistoric and they're like, oh, saber-toothed tigers. Oh, that's the same as that. No, though.
No.
It's still
No.
64 million
Yes.
years, 64,
Yes.
65 million years still
and,
separate.
And so I appreciate that from a historical point, but I still want.
I want dinosaurs.
But
Yeah.
that's why I like Blood Dragon.
Realism
It was-
be damned. I want
Yes.
to ride a T-Rex
Yeah.
and eat other small dinosaurs. That'd be great.
Well, Blood Dragon is it's the Sharknado of the video games. It's like we know that you know that this is completely outlandish,
And-
But the
and we're
difference,
gonna play with it.
But the difference is Blood Dragon was consistently funny.
Yeah.
Where
I
Sharknado
agree.
ends up not like the novelty.
I agree.
Ends over after 45 minutes, and you're like, I still have another 20 minutes of this movie. Okay.
Yeah. My
But
wife
it's-
loves those though.
yeah,
She loves the giant spider movies and stuff because they're ridiculous.
Have you seen the new the trailer for or the promotional image for Sharknado 4?
I haven't.
It's a shark in space, and there's a dude. It's Sharknado the Fourth Awakens.
Oh,
I think it's what they're
that's
calling
great.
it because it takes place in
That's great.
space.
That's great.
It's pretty clever.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Nice.
clever. So.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, I will too. But yeah, no, I mean, I like the Far Cry games. I never finished 4. I only put like 6 hours into it. Now that I'm done with Primal, I think 4 might be the next one I go back to.
Yeah.
Because I never finished it, and it's essentially the same map. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah.
But they used the same valley. Like they used roughly like the same outline of the water.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was a big deal. I mean, the games are so big. Like open world games are so massive now
Yeah.
that like I honestly I can't remember. With the exception of like Vice City, was the last open world game where I remembered streets by streets.
Yeah.
Where I was like, okay, cool. I know I need to turn here. I need to go here, and like where I
You
could
can't do it in GTA 5.
No, you can't. It's too big.
much,
It's
yeah.
too big. So like these games are too massive.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I know kind of roughly where I am. Let me open the map and quick travel here. You know, whatever. So
Well, see, that's the thing about Survivor mode is they're taking away your map.
Yes.
And I'm like, no. I don't. That's a bush that looks the same as that bush that looks the same. No,
I think the
need
biggest
my
the
map.
biggest difference is though is that you'll have your mission marker on your heads up display, but without like you can't quick travel is the point between Survivor mode. Not only that, but like as the game, if you've put a lot of time in Far Cry Primal, you kind of have to look at the map and gauge. And you have to kind of tell elevation with mountains because you have to walk around stuff and like find paths, and that's the benefit of having that. Where it's like I need to get there, well, I'm gonna have to spend some time just exploring to figure out how to get there, and that's gonna be the challenge.
Yeah.
They already
And
did in Bloodborne. Bloodborne doesn't have a map.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I know the crap out of Bloodborne.
Yeah.
yeah.
Not as well as I know Demon Souls though.
Yeah.
Like you can show me a screenshot and I can tell you where we're going, what we're fighting next, and what's about to jump out at you.
But that's the appeal. Like that's the difference, right? Having something like a survival mode turns it into one of those challenging games. Because the reason why Dark Souls and Demon Souls and Bloodborne have been so successful is because they touch on the rudimentary feeling of playing a game when you were a kid. Like I'm playing Pokemon Blue right now, and the map in that is garbage. It's just lines, and like because basically if you know where you're somewhere and you're like, okay, I know I can't keep going left.
Yes.
I can either go up or down, and that's the rudimentary form of that.
Yeah.
But with Bloodborne, like you have to remember the path there and the path back.
Well, and they wind around like the vertical levels on that.
The verticality is incredible. Yeah.
It blew my mind when I played the Demon Souls and Dark Souls. The idea of I went through all this entire path and I'm right underneath where I was earlier.
Yosefka's clinic.
Yeah, Yosefka's
that
clinic,
was so
'cause that
awesome.
blew my mind because I didn't realize I was back there.
Yeah.
Same thing. I'm going through Dark Souls right now. So I went through so from the beginning, you're going up that hill and kind of around the right after the. Was it right before the Taurus demon, or right before the Taurus demon, you unlock the elevator to go back to Firelink Shrine, and it's like, wait, I'm right above where I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and that's
It's incredible world building.
Yeah.
and that's that's the thing that Miyazaki does better than anybody. Because like
I agree.
You've gone through this area 5 times, and then you come up here and kick a ladder down, and it's like
I just opened
I'm
up
right here, and that.
Especially when you get back to a save point, and you're like, "Oh man, I made the full circle! All right,
yeah, a bonfire. That's the same bonfire. Holy crap!
Sweet."
And plug for in a couple of weeks when we're going to do the Dark Souls 3 Twitch stream, which you're going to...
Yeah, I'm swing by. Yeah.
It'll be
I'll
fun.
die over and over and get super frustrated.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Destiny's getting more emotes.
Yes, and they got one. I don't even have Destiny, but I want this emote.
Yeah.
Because they have Praise the Light.
Yep.
And that makes me happy.
Yeah. I like they call it Praise the Light because they didn't want to infringe.
Well, and that that's
sense.
in the game, and you're going after the light and stuff. I don't really have anything else on that. I just thought that was hilarious.
I don't have anything on it because I haven't played it in, I don't know, 5 months, 6 months.
It's been about that for me.
Yeah. And I
moved over to the Division.
Yeah, I liked it when it came out. It was just too much rinse repeat. Like, even with like World of Warcraft and games like that, there's a little bit of rinse repeat, but it's at least going from, okay, I had to do this dungeon 10 or 20 times to get this item. Now I'm going to go do this dungeon. There was still some progression, as opposed to you're going to do that game, that one that you played. You're playing the level that you played when you were level 4. You're going to play it again, and it's just going to be harder.
It's going to be harder.
Yeah, in the hopes that you get a good drop.
Exactly.
In the hopes that you get a good drop.
Yep. And the only difference is, okay, it's more difficult now. Okay. But
again, don't get me wrong. It took me hundreds of hours to get to that point.
Yeah.
It took me hundreds of hours to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm done.
I'm done. It's not appealing anymore. But at the same time, I've had Rocket League just as long, and I will go grab Rocket League and play Rocket League again. Yeah. So we're talking about Vita earlier. Axiom Verge.
Axiom Verge is finally coming to Vita, which that was released March of last year. But Tom Happ.
Yeah.
That guy's awesome. I bought it when it came out, and I played it for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, and I was like, yep, this is a Vita game.
Yeah.
I'll wait. and so on April 19th, that's coming out, and I'm finally going to actually play it.
Yep.
Which, his story is just one of the coolest things, because we talk about how many indie stuff there are, but like, Tom Happ, this one guy, made an entire freaking game.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, he did the art, he did the music, he did the coding, he made the weapons, he learned all this stuff, and we're entering a world where literally anybody can make a game.
Isn't Undertale the same way? I know one guy did that, but I don't know if he did the art assets.
Oh, I don't know.
I know he did the music and everything else. I don't know if he did the art, but that just reminded me of that, where you have one person
and just
creating their vision. It's amazing.
And it's really fun. So I'm looking forward to playing that, and then once I have a bit more time with it, I'll let you guys know what I think.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, he was like, it'd be cool to make Xbox One upgradable. And then did you hear about that?
Yeah.
And then this past week, I'm sure you put it in the news, didn't you? Phil Spencer was like, well, we're not going to do that. That's not a good idea.
What?
You didn't see that?
No.
Oh,
it'd be cool if they could make it upgradable, but it'd be cooler if they could make a new console.
Well, like, that's pretty much what he said.
They could do a separate console.
Yeah, he basically said he's like, if we made it upgradable, it's just incremental, and if we're gonna upgrade, we're gonna do it big. It's gonna be the next best thing.
Well, see that.
Yeah.
Which is, like, I think what happened was he said we should make it upgradable, and then Sony came out and said or they haven't come out and said it, but people are like 4.5.
Yeah, they've been talking to the devs and stuff. The weird thing about Phil Spencer is like he comes out and says that.
Yeah.
And then on This Week in Xbox, Major Nelson says, well, yeah, but we're not going to make the consoles upgradable. We're not going to ship them all with a screwdriver or whatever. And it's like the messaging got really weird really quick.
Yeah, I think the backpedaling is what I think is happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what Xbox has been doing since the announcement of the Xbox One.
Yeah. So for our UK viewers, we got a couple of you out there. They made a little switch for Quantum Break. We mentioned earlier in the show. It's actually just for UK. It sounds like they've switched out the Alan Wake for your pre-order. You're going to get Cameo. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah. You can like go into a store, like some stores, and switch it out. But like it got weird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we're just letting you know that if you pre-ordered Quantum Break in the UK, then you might have a surprise waiting for you that is not Alan Wake.
I think the reason being is the UK the PEGI ratings are different than the ESRB, and so they're a lot more specific than just T to M.
Yeah, because it's 16, 18.
And so the American Nightmare DLC for Alan Wake was a higher rating. And like it was a higher age rating than that, and so I guess because Quantum Break is going to be rated a certain one, they don't want to release it with multiple ratings.
And then you were allowed to get this because you were the right age, but then you get this bonus content that's
going to be a higher rating. So
that could get them in legal trouble for all kinds of stuff.
Whereas here, I mean, like we kind of split the difference in America, where M is you have to be 17 to buy an M-rated game without like parental. No parent with you, but like all the DLC for Alan Wake and Quantum Break is all M.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, I believe it's going to be a packed-in digital code. So you get that when you pre-order it, but I don't know if that's going to be something that the game will always have packed in bundled, or later on when they come up with the second wave of Quantum Break, it won't have it in there. Also, an important thing to know about Quantum Break, if you are wanting to get the full experience and get the show, your Xbox One has to be connected to the internet. Yeah. Because the video portion of it is streaming.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
It's not packed.
Have you heard the size
of what
of the game?
The size of the download. The videos?
No.
78 gig.
Okay, so that's why they're streaming.
Which is why it's not on the disc, because that doesn't fit on.
Disc is 45 gig, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be 2 discs, and nowadays we don't do 2 discs anymore. So.
It would be 2 discs just for the video portion. So it would be 3 discs altogether, and Xbox really doesn't want to do that.
I think the majority of people, I know there's some people who don't, I think the majority of people have their console online nowadays for Xbox One and PS4, but that was a big deal for if you don't want to play online. So if
I run into people all the time that don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about like where we're located. We're in North Dallas.
Yeah.
And if you drive 10-15 minutes east of where we're sitting right now, they don't have high-speed internet.
That's true.
I have a buddy who lives in another retail manager for GameStop. He lives in Van Alstyne, and he gets 3 megs down, and he has line of sight internet. So it's actually like on top of a building, and it has to aim and get. But that's local. That's less than 20 minutes from where we're sitting.
Which is exactly why when Microsoft initially announced the Xbox, and they were like, it's always online. It's this, and this. And people
what do you mean? Everyone doesn't live in San Francisco and have fiber optic internet everywhere we go, like our studios do. No, your development studios and stuff. You open them in areas where clearly you're going to have specifically because you're going to have access to like fiber optic, high speed internet, things like that.
Well, I do. I'm a telecom engineer. It's my job, and
so you get it.
I get it. That's all bandwidth. You're all eating up bandwidth. So
bandwidth is like, it's such a weird thing. Yeah. And I know that the US is we're awesome and everything, but like there's so much variety. Epic Name Bro has mostly finished his run of Salt and Sanctuary, but his connection is so bad there. He's throwing everything onto USBs, mailing them to someone else to upload to YouTube.
I can't imagine that.
That's insane.
I was going to say in Australia and some other countries, they also cap, like, they don't cap your speed, but it's like you're like a data plan with your cell phone. It's like you get 100 gig. Wait, what?
Yeah, and that's why I've stayed with the company.
That's how my friend who has line of sight.
Yeah.
It's the same way. He's capped at 100 gigs. So I mean, that's all just because
I can't even imagine sitting down to be like, can I watch a movie on Netflix today?
That's all because of greed, man. Yeah, I mean, I have 75 megs down, 75 up.
Yeah.
So
you mean I can't play World of Warcraft while streaming Netflix
uploading 8 videos of me streaming World of Warcraft?
Yeah, it was.
What is this? 6 months ago?
Yeah, but back to Quantum Break. I think it's been getting great reviews. It's getting 8s to 10s all across the board. I thought Alan Wake was incredibly creative. I never got through it because I played it right after The Last of Us.
Okay.
And arguably, it's not as good as a game as The Last of Us, and I was on such like a high. I was on. Yeah.
That's like.
But it's so creative.
Yeah. But that's like saying we're talking about The Last of Us or like Grand Theft Auto. That's like saying, well, I just played Grand Theft Auto and the gameplay's so much better, I'm not going to play Mass Effect. But the story in Mass Effect is so good. The first Mass Effect is amazing. Yeah, the gameplay's not as great, but the story's amazing. Alan Wake's immersion.
I'm going to try it again.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it another go because what I should have had like a palate cleanser of like a good period of time.
Sure.
Because Last of Us is my favorite game of all time. And like, there's not an experience
So
that you get
good.
like that. Yeah.
But one of the other cool things, like, I don't know if we're ever going to get another game like Quantum Break.
Yeah.
Because like this was one of the ones that they pushed fairly early in the Xbox One, and they were like, won't this be amazing?
Yeah.
And it will be.
Yes.
But how much money did they spend
Yeah.
making this and like
live action actors and like
not
really
only
good live action actors
Yeah.
too.
not only that, but like I've been reading some of the reviews and stuff, but like small decisions that you make affect things in the live action, and like that's
amazing.
And how many copies are they going to have to sell to make that financially viable? So this, I think it's entirely possible that if this doesn't score and just sell like crazy, this might be one of the most unique games that ever comes out, and that's why I'm excited about it.
Well, there's also there's
so adventurous,
and there's also there's a limited white Xbox One bundle with Quantum Break. I don't understand the appeal of white consoles. Period.
No.
Like when the
All
Wii's
mine are
first
black.
came out, everyone hated them, and then they made the black Wii console, and then those sold like crazy. And now that like the standard is to come out with, I mean, like my electronics are all black. It's like, I mean, I wouldn't mind. I have the Darth Vader PS4.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's subtle.
It's subtle, but what I don't like is that it's got a glossy finish and it's not matte.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everything should be matte finish.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, don't make hardware have a glossy finish.
Because then it shows every.
Oh, dude! Like
every
dude, my Xbox, like my Xbox One, I baby it, I dust it like all the time. It's scratched to hell, and nothing's ever touched it.
Yep.
You know, it's got dust scratches all over it. So
Sure.
it's just a bad design. But the new Xbox Ones are all matte finish on them. So
I guess I got an old one. I think mine should be glossy.
yeah, yours is glossy. I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
Mouse and keyboard support is coming to Xbox this summer, and this is something they've been talking about for a while. It's going to be for chat and stuff, but one of the more interesting things about this is that first-person shooters, you're going to get destroyed if you're facing somebody with a mouse and keyboard.
I agree.
And so Phil Spencer said that they're offering tools to the developers that allow them to segregate that a little bit. So like if you don't care, you can play on the open servers. I don't know if they're going to do it though.
I think that's a bad idea, but this goes in line with what Microsoft did with the Elite Xbox controller, right? They're like, okay, some people play at a different level, and they care about this nuance of getting this small 4 or 5% better than what you can do on a regular controller. I think this is just another step in that direction, and I think that the same people that are going to have. I don't think it's going to be that much big of an advantage if you're playing on keyboard and mouse versus someone who's dedicated console gaming and they prefer that controller. They're going to have an Elite controller. That's going to be their preference.
And both of them are going to kill me anyway.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I'm going to die anyhow.
All of us are going to die against those guys, even if they had a regular controller. I don't think it's giving them that big of an advantage.
Okay,
that's true. I mean, ultimately, it's going to be really great for people who have an Xbox and they want to play an Xbox exclusive, but they're a PC gamer.
Yeah, they're
that'll be better for them.
Good.
I do feel though, like at tournaments and stuff, you're only going to be seeing mouse and keyboards from now on, and
I don't know.
I think they would probably have some kind of limitations because, like the controller is what separates, console gaming and PC gaming, really largely. I mean, other than of course mods and specs and things
driver
like that.
updating.
Yeah,
sure.
but I would certainly think that if there's an Xbox tournament or thing or a Call of Duty tournament and they're playing professionally, it's going to be one or the other. They're going to have categories for it. So
I would agree.
And categories is probably the best option because there are going to be people who are at the top echelons of performance who are going to switch over to mouse and keyboard and never look back.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I preferred last generation. I preferred the Xbox 360 controller to the PlayStation controller.
You actually got a PlayStation controller that matched.
Yeah. I got a Batman PS3 controller that specifically
offset
and the sticks are similar weight to the Xbox 360. So that way, when I switch back and forth on controllers, it wasn't that big of a deal. This generation, I can switch back and forth, and it's really not big of a deal.
Yeah.
The analog sticks was more. It wasn't the offset. It was the analog
tension.
sticks. The tension of the analog sticks. The PS3 was just so
PS3's
swimmy. It was just wee 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 wee, and I didn't have that tactile just a tiny bit up. My
Yeah.
tiny bit.
And they
up
were
was,
rounded, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So in a shooter scenario,
The DualShock 4 is much more tight. It's
it
much
really
tighter
is.
now, yeah.
It really is, and I love it.
And they feel like triggers. They're actual triggers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I loved everything else about the PS3. That was the only thing I didn't like. And once I found a PS3 controller, obviously I was playing PlayStation, but I was playing so many shooters and those kind of games on the Xbox specifically because of that. I'm like, I can't switch between them. If I'm playing, I got Resistance, and then I realized how hard it was, so then I didn't play it for a long time because I was like, I'm playing Borderlands and I'm switching from playing a shooter here into a shooter there. No, not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same thing. People, like you said, if you have an Xbox and you normally get shooters on the PC and it's a multi-plat, or maybe it's an Xbox exclusive, now you have that option.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, I know like how deep I am into Sony, because you say multi-plat, my brain goes platinum. I'm like, I have multi-plats.
Well, you do. I don't.
Yeah.
April 26th is going to be episode 2 for Hitman.
Yes.
They've switched the episodic thing. If you guys have been playing this or you guys have been watching this, you know that. I'm hopeful on it because I've heard a lot of people said they really liked the first bit of it, but it was just so short.
Yeah.
That they weren't digging it. So I'm hopeful on this.
I like the fact that they're changing scenarios because or locations this dramatically, because like if you go from London to another area of London, like the missions can feel very similar, but like Italy is
It's like
going
a
to be
different game.
Yeah, Italy is going to be dramatically different, and like just the feel of it. I think you'll be able to feel like I am this traveling gunman. Yeah. And I like the immersion.
Yeah, exactly.
That can be added with
Exactly.
this.
It's similar to Assassin's Creed. Obviously, it's not going to be as massive as Assassin's Creed, but you are traveling, even if it's the same time period, traveling to a different city. You get a different feel of that. And this character, he's a globe-trotting assassin.
Yep.
He's paid to go wherever. And I think some of the earlier games when you were like, they had to be really overt to be like, look, we're in China, look at all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like here you can be a little more subtle with it. So I think that's really cool.
I think it's really important too for how they're creating this episodic, release with Hitman, because Square Enix is doing something very different where they're releasing a AAA title over time.
Yes.
When it's done. This isn't DLC, this isn't additional content.
Yeah.
It's the core game, and this is their plan for the Final Fantasy VII remake as well. And because of that, so I pieced those together real quick when they did that with Hitman. They're like, we're going to see how well this does.
Yeah, because if this doesn't do well, they're not going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, but it makes sense to release a second episode that's drastically different, so you feel like you're playing like a new game, but a bite-sized portion of a new game.
I also like because they are separate episodes. Because I'll probably pick one of these up. I don't know which one, but if I get to, Italy.
If you hear that Italy is the best one, maybe you just get that one.
Yeah, and then that might be the intro. And if I like Italy, then I can be like, well, I'll check out Russia.
Sure,
Russia sounds fun.
Yeah.
And
get your feet
piecemeal,
wet.
and then. I might not play them in order, and that's one of the cool things that where I think Hitman is going to work a lot better than Final Fantasy VII, because you're not going to want to buy Episode 3 of Final Fantasy VII and not know what's going on.
People are going to buy all of those. It's like Telltale. You don't buy Chapter 2 of King's Quest without playing Chapter 1.
Right.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Chapter 2 is great, by the way.
Yeah, but it's not Telltale. Which is why I like it.
It's not
Telltale?
Nope.
No, it's Sierra.
No, it's Sierra.
Sierra.
They
that's right.
relaunched
That's
Sierra
right.
and Odd Gentleman.
I was just thinking the whole episodic thing.
Telltale exists because of Sierra. I mean, it's
Oh, I agree.
And Sierra came back because of Telltale.
Yeah.
I agreed. Well, I was just thinking the whole episodic feel. So,
Yeah. And it's
Wolf
the
Among
default.
Us
And
or-
also they put out 7 million series, so it's an easy jump to
and
make.
Batman's coming out.
Yep.
But
Very happy about that.
Final Fantasy 15 had a massive event, and did y'all watch it?
I didn't watch it. I just
Okay.
watched the trailers.
Okay, I thought it was really cool because Greg and Tim from Kind of Funny,
Yeah.
they did it, and they got to meet Lena Headey and Aaron Paul, and it was really exciting. So at the very beginning of the conference, They had Sakiguchi, the original director. They had Amano. Amano has always done the background art, but they're also involving him for the character. And then Uematsu, who did the music, the crystal theme that we all know and love, and the music for 2 and 3, and his music is amazing. And one of the things that they were emphasizing with this, and this isn't one of the official announcements, but they were talking about going back to the roots of what Final Fantasy is. And the last one that I really, really enjoyed was 9. And this event got me excited about Final Fantasy again in a way that I haven't felt in a very, very long time.
I think that was their point. Their kind of catchphrase for it is like, you know, a new Final Fantasy, a new beginning for a new generation. And they're wanting this to be everyone's new Final Fantasy VII.
I think that's what's going to happen with because Whitney does not like the turn-based strategy, time strategy. She does not like that. So I tried to have her play Final Fantasy VII. And she got really excited, and then the battle started, and she was like, "Oh, this is not my thing. This is not it at all." So, the fact that 15 is more, it's more like Kingdom Hearts, because the company that did Kingdom Hearts, the developers.
Yeah.
I've had her hooked on it for a while on that, and when we played the demo, like she was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll like this."
I know how this works.
Yeah.
And the other thing about the way they presented it, Tim Geddes, again from Kind of Funny, has been a Final Fantasy fan for a long time. Greg doesn't play them.
No, he doesn't. And they've talked about this on the podcast.
And so it's really fun to hear these two different perspectives, and the fact that they were, because like I'm kind of a lapsed Final Fantasy fan, because I used to be all about them.
Yeah.
And I haven't been for a while. And if it can appeal to people who haven't been into Final Fantasy because of the turn-based whatever, people who used to be about Final Fantasy until the stuff that happened, the things of which we do not speak.
It's going to bring in the people who haven't played in a while. It's going to bring in people who have not played at all.
Yeah.
I think that there's aspects of both of that. And I think 7's going to be the same way. You're going to get people who love 7 and they're going to play it, and you're going to get people who said, "I heard this was good, but I wasn't liking the polygon look to it."
The PS1 graphics.
Yeah, so like Christian mentioned, we were talking to him about it. He hated the cinematic swap. You have this beautiful cinematic, and then it changes, and then your guy flips out, and it's this big polygon head. And
what I love is I remember playing Final Fantasy VII on the PS1 and watching the cinematics, and I was like, man, I wonder I'm wondering if I'm ever going to see one day where the cinematics are the same as the gameplay, and that's where we're at. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, now, if you have a pre-rendered cutscene, like, they're not that much different. They're not that much better.
And it's better to just do in-game graphics.
It's better to do in-game graphics. It's easier to do it.
Well, and
it's less
also,
space on the disc.
And also with, like in Arkham Knight, like you'll go straight into it. Because we had, they weren't long, but 7 did have this jolt where it's like you get a black screen for a minute, and then the cinematic. Black screen for a minute, then back to the polygons. And just being able to immerse you in the experience by just keeping it moving. And I really like that. On that note, though, the cutscenes do look way better in Final Fantasy 15 than the actual game does.
I think
the transition is
immediate, but it's not a jarring difference. It's not like
it's nowhere near the level of 7.
It's not jarring, and what I meant by that is like your margin of difference is so much smaller. And you're talking about doing in-game versus pre-rendered. You're not getting that much bang for the buck. We've reached that essentially diminished returns of like, if I pre-render, is it that much better? Not nowadays, not really.
Right.
So,
but Final Fantasy, it has that epic feel. And I appreciate, because like I really love the trailer with the king holding Noctis. And why did they change the names? I just want Noct. Just give me the same names.
I don't know.
Anyway, but yeah, I'm really excited about that. One thing that I am kind of bummed about is they made a big deal out of the fact that Lena Headey was going to be the voice of Luna. And Sean Bean is going to be the king. Aaron Paul is going to be the main character, Nyx. In the Kingsglaive movie. that's coming out.
Yes.
But those 3 actors are not voicing the regular characters, and
I wish
I'm bummed about that because it feels like
There's a little consistency there.
yeah. Give me the voice actors, do the voice actors,
consistencies, and it looks like they are. Like, we're talking about clickbait. I mean, it almost...
They're trying to
feels
appeal
like
to the
because-
Western culture audience by
Yeah.
being like, look, we used people that you guys know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think ultimately we were...
And
It's,
Oh,
it
definitely.
took 2 days before I was able to find out that they're not the characters,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because they really don't want us to know that, but we're bringing it to you because we bring you news.
Yeah, I would rather have a decent voice acting in both and be consistent.
Yeah,
And the same thing,
And
for
I,
sure.
Thing. Like if
I
okay,
suspect that
it's-
the voice acting is going to be fine.
Sure.
But if you're giving me Sean Bean as the king, keep me with Sean Bean as the
Yeah.
king, or let the other guy step up and take it.
If it was the interest of time, like maybe they couldn't afford to have them do all the voices in the game.
Yeah. Well, apparently,
don't do it.
So then don't do
just
it.
don't do it.
I mean,
Don't do it.
Yeah.
apparently, Aaron Paul started recording
Yeah.
last Monday.
Yeah. See, exactly.
That's concerning.
Exactly. Well, that just means you can do that with animation. I mean, you
Yeah.
can do that with animation, but with video games, the amount of dialogue you're going to need. I mean, we're talking about Fallout 4. The dialogue, it took 2 years of voice. I don't know if you saw that. For the main 2 people, they were working on that for 2 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't tie up these big name actors for 2 years. I think that's really what it boils down to. It's like,
I
or
can
maybe
see that.
let's say, okay, let's make it easy. Let's say there's a ton of content out. Maybe it's 3 or 4 months. That's a lot of money that they could be making elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I think that's really what it boils down to.
And there's a couple other things I wanted to highlight real quick. Apparently, the car radio plays tunes from previous Final Fantasy
Yeah.
games. I'm going to be leaving that on.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're talking about just...
I'm hopeful that or I should say, I'm hopeful that some people, you can flame in the comments about this. I'm hopeful that they're not verbatim what it was in Final Fantasy VI. I'm hoping that it's a remaster, maybe an orchestral version.
Yeah.
I would really like that, because then you have that same music. You can do it well. They did it with Zelda. The Zelda Orchestra is beautiful. It brings out the right emotions.
Well, the what is it? Worlds... What... There's an actual concert series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they have that Final Fantasy VI music,
that's what I mean.
Yes,
That caliber.
I am 100% about that.
And the reason that I say that is, again, talking about consistency. If I have a radio station on and I'm listening to something from the first Final Fantasy, and then something from Final Fantasy VII comes on, that's jarring.
Yeah.
Give me something consistent that kind of levels out. It'd be perfect.
The car also turns into a plane.
yes,
So you're talking about jarring.
yeah.
It's like, you
I
turn into
was
the plane and then all of a
surprised.
sudden, like, the Knight Rider music turns on or something. Anyways, I was making a lot of jokes. Like, on Twitter, I was like, The Hangover 4 part Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
Because it's you got 4 dudes on a road trip. And for some reason, it just resonated, except
Please push the red button, Noct.
Please, someone get kidnapped in there and you have to rescue them.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Have you seen the first episode of the anime?
I started watching it, but it was in Japanese. So the
You
link
don't
that I
speak
have-
Japanese?
I don't. The link that
I
I
don't
have is in
either.
Japanese, so I need to find an English version of it.
No.
Is it an English
It's
version?
anime. You watch it in Japanese and you read the damn subtitles.
Okay, well, I can't do that while working or while
It's
driving.
11 minutes.
I have
Are
to-
you that
I
busy?
have to sit down.
We've been here
Anyway,
for like 2.5 hours. Clearly,
I
you
have
have
the
some
time.
time, Patrick. Let's go.
Or are we taking all of his free time for the
All
entire
of this for
weekend?
the
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, we took his free time.
Why am I high-fiving?
I don't know. You're like, there goes my free time. All right.
It's fun, that's why.
But yeah, the anime is really is quality.
Yeah.
I liked it, and the platinum demo is now available to be played, and it like you were talking about Kingdom Hearts. It does kind of feel like Kingdom
It
Hearts.
really feels like Kingdom Hearts, even more so if you guys have you played the demo yet?
I have not.
So it doesn't spoil the game. So
Right, because
So
it's
go have
it's like
fun.
his,
It's a tech
his
demo.
dream.
You're in his
and
dream.
You get carbuncle.
It's basically a tech demo, so don't feel bad. I had some a few people that were talking in the comments saying that they didn't want to play the demo for an RPG because then you're investing time into it and then it doesn't carry
and
over.
then it goes away.
Well, in this case, it doesn't matter because it's not part of the game at all. You're not going to have to replay it,
Right.
and you get a little bonus out of it. But
Oh, really?
You get a little. You get a summon.
Carbuncle as a summon
Right.
Yeah.
for
So-
beating
the demo.
It's
which
short.
is free.
And it's short.
And
yeah.
I
And it's
appreciate
free.
that.
Well, I'm going to download that right now remotely
now.
from my PlayStation app
That's so convenient.
because you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I really did.
Seriously, I'm going to do that.
You should. Oh,
I'm going to. Like, that's what's
fine.
happening right
That's
now.
Right
fine.
now.
The PlayStation app is that cool.
It is that cool.
So the game, I was texting you about it when I was playing it because I was like, I don't mind it, but it was just so weird because you're in a dream. You start off and you're okay, follow the little guy, and then and it was like, oh, you step on this pressure plate and more of the world opens up, and I'm like, this is kind of weird. Like, it's a visual representation of more of the world opening up. And then you step on another pressure plate like 10 minutes later, and it changes you into this giant. It looks like a dewback, basically. Like,
I like
what?
the
What?
Giraffalope.
Yeah, the giraffe, and then there's an alligator one, and
Yeah. And a
like
truck.
it was just so
And turn
weird.
into
Yeah,
a
turn
truck.
into a truck. That's the first thing that happens. But you go into what looks like this Alice in Wonderland like thing where like you're tiny and you're having to climb up onto chairs.
Actually, okay, so I haven't actually played it yet.
Yeah.
Nora beat it
There you go.
in about 40 minutes.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
so like it's not a
short.
huge time commitment.
It's easy. It's not hard, but it is basically a tech demo. So when you play it, just remember that this is not the feel that you're going to get from Final Fantasy 15. This is a tech demo of kind of some of the things that they can do. Like I talked about, like you turn into a truck. You're not turning into a truck to turn into a truck. You're turning into it so it gave them a reason to say, here's how the driving controls are going to work.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically what they were trying to do. So I like that.
I also liked beating up things with a squeaky hammer.
Yeah, a squeaky hammer or a toy sword, because it's a dream, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, it's very similar to like what Metal Gear did with Ground Zeroes, even though that was like a full $30 release. But it was almost like a tech demo to be like, and what was weird is that like it hit all the points on like this is how the controls work.
Yes.
But it was very different than the core game because the core game is much bigger and you need that space.
Yes.
To get a feel of like how the game will actually play because Ground Zeroes was such a small limited space.
Well, yeah, and you can't get supply drops and
Right.
and hoist people out.
And there was no Man on Fire or Whale.
Neither one.
Nowhere in
Neither
Ground
one.
Zeroes.
Yeah.
There was no whale. No, there was a Man on Fire. No, not in Ground
He wasn't
Zeroes.
in Ground
but
Zeroes,
in
no,
Final
no.
Fantasy V.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am really excited about this. And then the last thing is Justice Monsters 5 is a mini game in the world of Final Fantasy 15, and then it's going to be a mobile game coming to iPhone and Android. And
I'm really happy about that because Final Fantasy has some of the best mini games.
okay, but the way that they rolled this out was really frustrating because the way that they did it is he goes, so what do Tetramaster and Chocobo Hot and Cold and like listed off a bunch of the mini games have in common? And my first thought is, oh my gosh, we're getting all of them in this game. That's all I'm gonna play. But and he was like, there's one in this game. And I was like, well, yeah, of course there's going to be one in this game. But if I could go back and play
Triple Triad,
Tetramaster in this one, that would be so cool.
Yeah, it would be.
And they haven't said that we can't. But
Triple Triad would be cool. It'd be an easy thing for them to do.
Yeah.
Going from town to town. The only thing I don't like is the different rules in different towns. But oh well.
So, but yeah, I'm excited about it. I've actually gone ahead and pre-ordered, and because I'm finally on board with it because this has been such a tortured development cycle that I had reached a point where I was like, okay, I'll sit back and you let me know when it's done.
Because this was supposed to be 13 verses, yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's a testament to why Square Enix had this event, because it worked. Because I'm the same way. I mean, like I'm very much like you, where I didn't get into Final Fantasy till 7. I never played the original ones, which is why I'm really excited. I still need to pick up Bravely Default because, from what I understand, they're very true to the original Final Fantasy games, and it really made Square Enix rethink. Oh, Western culture really wants to do this.
That? They like good games,
Right? Well, they like turn-based stuff, and not everything has to be like real time and things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we like strategy and things like that. But like, they did their own thing outside of E3 to give enough attention. They made an evening of their event, and it was a good return on their investment. Because I'm also interested because I played 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, 10-2.
And then not 10-2.
Okay.
My brother said the story was better. My brother was a huge fanatic. Said the story was better, but the combat wasn't as good.
Yeah.
And then I tried 13. 13 was really challenging to me, and from what I understand too is that like the real story in 13, the game doesn't start until like you're 20-30 hours in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or until you get like dropped onto the world. And so
people keep telling me just do it. Like I
no, it was literally like a straight hallway, yeah.
Yeah.
And like and the strategy, the walkthrough, it was super simple. Like, this is how you attack. You pick this to attack, and I'm like, okay, cool, I got this. And it's like, we're gonna try doing a couple battles where you just attack, and like, okay, and this is how you block. We're gonna do a little bit so the first hour and a half of the game, it's a really basic tutorial. Then it drops you into the game, and then it's like, here are the rest of your moves, and I'm like, what? And I died in the first battle I had, and I'm like, I'm fairly decent at video games.
Yeah.
I spend way too much time.
Concept though.
And I was like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
And so, but with Final Fantasy 15, like by doing the demo the way they did it, I'm excited too. It looks neat. I mean, I like the fact that it's a car, it's open world, but you can also change the kind of vehicles. You can jump on a chocobo, explore this open world. That's what I love the most about 7.
Yeah.
That's what I like about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Is cool. I'm just gonna run through this field.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna grind, because if you take the time and you grind, it makes the bosses and some of the harder battles easier, where you don't have to use as much strategy.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if I'm not great at strategy, but I want to take the time and grind,
You can do it. Yeah.
I can do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about RPGs like that.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that really encourages me, you're talking about the road trip, like road trip and the character development that they can have over that course, because we're going to get to know all these characters. Prediction: one of those 4 characters doesn't survive the trip.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I can see that.
Final Fantasy,
but like
Someone has to have final something in the game.
The best character development for me, like Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my most remembered scenes are not necessarily the big moments, but like
it was when you're walking with Ellie, and you're like, I'm too far away, and she's telling me something.
Yeah.
I need to alter the way I'm playing so I can absorb the story, because The Last of Us tells a story in the frame of a video game.
Yes.
And that's what I don't understand when so many developers are like, or publishers or their marketing people are like, oh, our game's as good as a movie. Look at Quantum Break, we have actors, and then you can watch a movie. It's like, no, I want a video game.
While I'm playing a video game, give me the story. While I'm playing.
One of my favorite moments in Last of Us is when you're getting ready to boost Ellie up to the next ledge.
Yeah.
She doesn't come over, because she's still dealing with what happened, a little while ago, and you're like, okay, video game mechanics and everything, and then she's just sitting on a bench over there, and then you go back and talk to her.
Yeah.
And that was one of the coolest things ever. And for me, character development comes in those quiet moments.
Yeah.
That's when I really connect to the characters.
Yeah.
I really liked seeing Joel stab that guy in the kneecap.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Spoilers for Last of Us. It's violent. Like those are really special moments, but when I connect with the characters is when they're sitting around in Final Fantasy 15, when they're sitting around the campfire talking.
Yeah.
That's when I'm really gonna dig it.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I'm excited. So that is our Final Fantasy 15 stuff.
Yeah. One more thing on that. Square Enix has said that they consider if it hits 10 million copies, that'll be a success.
Yep. And
are we really in an age where like 7 or 8 million, like Tomb Raider, right?
Yeah,
sold
Square Enix is the same company that said that nope, that's not good enough.
It's not successful. It's like, well, you put it up against the biggest game, arguably the biggest game of 2015, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It came up against Fallout 4. I mean, really,
and you're limited to one console. You're limited to the Xbox One, which I know it's going to be out on both consoles later.
It's a timed exclusive.
But it was a timed exclusive, and so, Microsoft or Sony, for that matter, they spend the money to make those exclusives. But the problem is that, like, I don't know if Tomb Raider is a game that's going to sell consoles. Uncharted 4 is a game that'll sell consoles.
Uncharted 4 will sell. I mean, PlayStation's already selling a bunch of consoles, and there's some people who may not have a PS4 yet that are going to grab it for Uncharted 4.
It's also annoying because it wasn't. It's a series that became a console exclusive, and that feels like we're getting, because like I played Tomb Raider,
yeah,
and now I have to wait however long because I don't have an Xbox One.
Yeah.
When I gave you money, I supported this first one.
But then you get
Come on. So
It's great, by the way. It's amazing.
yeah, and I'm looking forward to it because when I drop my $60, I'm gonna get all the DLC and Baba Yaga. And
It's exactly the same as the first one. There's just more tombs. What I like is they didn't reinvent the wheel. They just kept with what worked.
Yes.
they're like, hey, this game works. Here's another one.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's how it should work.
Yep.
Yeah. Blops 3 is getting more zombies. They're going back to World War II and continuing a story that apparently started in 2. So
the story is that Hitler conquered a lot of Europe, and he also liked zombies and spaceships. So
Yeah.
we should see zombies and spaceships.
So we're gonna throw all those things in a mixer, shake them up, and then spill zombies out
I
of
do
it.
find it
Good.
funny.
I mean, like, that's awesome.
I'm fine. Above that, I do find it funny that they have to go back to World War II to talk about zombies. Come on, you can have zombies anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Zombies is like Jello.
But
you can have it anytime.
but Nazi zombies are the most fun to kill.
Well, because it's just the uber evil. It's like,
Yeah, it's the
You're doubling down on your evil.
You really are.
so
So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'll go for it.
April 12th, Division is bringing its first raid. They're calling them incursions.
Yeah.
They're dropping it the same day as the new Destiny content, which I don't know if you want to. I mean, we just talked about this with Tomb Raider. Is like, do you really want to do this?
People will go back to see. Destiny's one of those games that, like Battlefront, like, so once one of the DLCs come back, people
come
pour
back
back
with the
in,
new
right?
content. Yeah.
People came back in when Outer Rim just came out for Battlefront. People pour back in. It's going to happen with Destiny as well. People who haven't played in a while,
Yeah.
maybe they got to a specific place, so they kind of got the taste of what they wanted, and then they're going to come back for this DLC. I think it's
And a lot of those people, a lot of the people that were playing Destiny
switched
over to Division, and I don't. And like you said, they're going to go back to Destiny for this for the
Or maybe not. Or maybe not. I mean,
but they're going to jump back in and see it.
They might come back and see it if they've already bought a season pass.
Yeah.
So, like, if you just delay it by like 2 days, they get to go check out the new content and then come back to your game.
Well, hold on now. So is the Destiny content part of the season pass, or is it a paid for content? Or
No,
is it free?
it's free.
It's free, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they, for people who are season pass holders, I believe the raid is free too.
Yeah.
Incursion.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a smart move on either of their parts because, if you release it and if Ubisoft doesn't come out with something to try to keep the people who are playing hooked. Yeah, everyone might jump back over to Destiny and then not come over. But ultimately, I think sometimes when things like this happen, they might have been so close in release that it's just a matter of being like, okay, cool, let's do this. I mean, Bungie, they're going to have hordes of people come back when they announce Destiny 2. I'm going to pick up Destiny 2, especially if my characters can carry over.
Yeah.
And The Division, I don't Bungie clearly stated that they have a 10-year plan with Destiny and the franchise with Activision. Mm-hmm. They're going to continue releasing it, even if when they release a Destiny 2, it's probably you're probably going to be able to carry your characters over, or they'll announce new character classes. So most of the people will probably be like, okay, I want to create a new character class anyways, so whatever. Yeah. Whereas The Division, all we know is right now is that they have a pretty extended season pass plan. Yeah. I don't know if clearly it looks like their plan is to have this be a platform, because that's what companies are doing now is they're releasing platforms, so they continue to release a lot more than just a season worth of stuff, which is why they never called the Destiny's first expansions, they never called that a season pass. Right. They called it like the first batch, or I forget what they called it, but it wasn't a season pass because it wasn't everything.
Expansion pack.
It was expansion pack. Yeah. Because it wasn't going to be everything, because they basically said, it was for the first two. It was for House of Wolves and The Dark Below.
And then when the Taken King came out, people were like, what?
Because the Taken King is like the length of another game.
Yeah.
The Taken King was the missing element that they should have had in the first place when they launched Destiny. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, you have things like two other games that are coming out that are really, really similar, is Overwatch and Battleborn. And then the day that Battleborn comes out, Overwatch is releasing their open beta. So it's like, they're both first person MOBAs. I hate to like underrate them. I know that that's what Overwatch is going to be. It's Blizzard's first new IP in like 20 years. But Gearbox is amazing at making new IPs and mixing genres. They're awesome at it.
That's what they did. That's what they do. I mean,
you look at Borderlands is Diablo as a first person shooter.
Yes, it is.
And Battleborn is going to be League of Legends as a first-person shooter with a ton of influence from Borderlands.
Yeah.
So it's funny because like companies know that they see it, because if they let someone have their own day in the sun, you know, but that's why you see so many publishers and developers pulling out of E3 is because they have to share the spotlight.
Yeah.
And
it can hurt it. It's like, wait, that looks like the other thing that I saw here.
Maybe we shouldn't release Tomb Raider the same day that we release.
That's why I got Overwatch and Battleborn. Like, keep getting confused.
And Paragon.
And Paragon by Epic, yeah.
Like it's just one of those things where all of this stuff is coming out at the same time, and somebody's going to rise to the top.
Yeah.
But I'm not playing it.
I'm excited about both. I'm excited about The Division, and I'm excited about Destiny. I'm more excited about The Division because I'm playing it right now.
Yeah.
And it's a ton of fun. I love it.
I'm excited to see how Gearbox does the MOBA, because personally I've not been a fan of MOBAs. But
yeah, I haven't either, but I'm a fan of first-person shooters.
I am too.
And I'm a fan of Gearbox.
Yeah.
So I have Borderlands tattoos. So
that's awesome.
I do.
So the Souls 3 release thing
happened everywhere but here.
No, it was just a Japan thing, and
well, people have been importing. I was gonna say
people have been importing, and they gave American streamers early copies of the game because they've already localized it, and. So
that's my biggest problem with it, is that they gave it specifically to people like Jim Sterling and a handful of other people. They gave them copies that are completely ready. Vatividia, they gave them the copy that's going to release everywhere. They just
and like some of the PvP stuff is not up and running, and like they've talked about that, but like
just delay the whole game 2 weeks and release it for everybody.
Yeah, because Souls, more than any other series, the spoiler is not the story. The spoiler is the gameplay.
Yes.
That's what I don't want to see. That's Ian B actually like went offline. Somebody's filtering out his Twitter stuff. All of his YouTube comments are turned off because he's going into this one dark for the first time, pun intended. Going to this one, blind for the first time since Demon's Souls.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting. Yeah. The initial rush of people when everybody's still figuring out stuff. The first month of a Souls game is the most fun time to play it, and
well, you have those interactions like I call them the playground interactions, right?
Yeah.
Where back in the day when you're on the playground just talking about Legend of Zelda, and someone's like, "Oh, did you see this? No, I didn't." But
and that's how you figure out how to get past a part.
Yeah.
And I agree, and that's what made Bloodborne so intriguing, is because that one enemy that's right there. Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the Dark Souls series good, but. The perspective I would take from this, as far as like being a retail person, is that like they're very confident in how good their game is.
I would agree.
To be putting it out this early, and like they know that they got a gem.
Yeah.
Because if they're letting reviewers have it like weeks
early,
before,
2 weeks early,
that's. And especially someone, the biggest thing is someone's beat it in under 2 hours already.
Yeah,
and that's
remarkable. Well,
I don't know how that's possible, but whatever.
Well, what was the record for Demon's Souls? Isn't it like it's a little over an hour?
Demon's Souls is like an hour 12, I think.
That's insane.
And I've watched it, and it's mind blowing.
Like I'm happy when I beat a boss. Like I went back playing Dark Souls. I beat the first 2 bosses on my first try, which obviously does not usually happen. It only happened because I knew how to take down the boss. Mm-hmm. But even then, like I played 3 hours of Dark Souls, and what would have taken me maybe 15 or 20 back, when I first got the game.
When you first start, it takes a while to get into. Get
can
to
I run
a competent.
Through this? Is it okay?
Well, like I went back because I remember how hard Gascoigne is still my least favorite boss because he's so hard.
Yeah.
But I went back. I started a new character because I'm not playing through old hunters on New Game Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
It's gonna be rough.
So I started a new character, went up and fought the cleric beast, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
You're so slow. How did you even hit me before?
Yeah.
And so I cleared him out, and I did take 2 tries on Father Gascoigne, but like just the skill level comes up, and having played the Souls series for so long, like I'm really excited about this, but and I've already bought it. We're gonna have the stream and everything, but it's frustrating to me that other people have already gotten to play it, and they've already found all the things, and so like when I'm first playing, I'm going to come up against somebody who's in the high end gear, and like I'll shoot you with my soul arrow, and then you'll hit me with a hammer, and then just obliterate me, and that's going to be some of the first encounters we have, because people have already occupied this world and figured stuff out that I'm deliberately avoiding looking at, and so I'm almost tempted to play it offline.
But that being said, we're talking about playing offline. I was going to say the thing these series are known for are the notes. So for someone to say, so I can see. I think that it's a beautiful time when you're exploring it for the first time, but you don't get those notes. So playing if you go back and play Bloodborne right now, you're going to get a lot more notes than you would have gotten before, and notes of stuff that you may have not known, like there's a secret wall here, this.
There's also in the first little bit, there's way more trolling going on with notes.
Yes.
Like anytime there's a ledge, it's always take a step forward.
Take a step forward, so you do.
Yeah, and you die. But every fifth time you get rewarded.
That's true. That's true. And as long as you find some way to buy it, you can go run back and get your souls, as long as it's not that too,
or you might lose 12,000 in one shot and then sit and cry.
And then cry.
Cry.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. Tell us any news that we missed, and let us know what you think of this handsome gentleman.
Should we have him back on? Let us know.
Yeah.
See you later, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, last thing. We haven't thanked Brian Altano in a while, but the music that you hear at the beginning of the show is off of his album Misanthrope, which is available for pay what you want at misanthropealbum.com. And go out and support him, because some of the background music in this show is also from him, and we really appreciate his willingness to share his art with us.
Yes.
So
go support it.